Problem 4-76, it says some students at North City High are abusing the privilege of being allowed to leave campus for lunch. The number of students tardy to Ms. Green's period after lunch is too high. In the last 30 school days, she recorded the number of tardy students per day as shown in the relative frequency histogram at right. So this is a relative frequency histogram. We've got the relative frequency, which are just percentages up on the y-axis, and we've got the number of tardies on the x-axis, and we know there's a total of 30 school days. So it says describe the distribution of the tardy students by estimating the height of each bin. So you can look at the height of the bin just kind of by trying to compare it with this y-axis, like this first bin. Well, let's look at this second bin right here. It looks like it's right straight across from the point 1. And so its height is 0.1. The reason I wrote a little 3 on top of it is because 0.1 is, here, let me write it. Where should I write it? 0.1, if I move the decimal place 2 places to the right, is 10%. So 0.1 is 10%, and 10% of, remember there was 30 days, should be 3 days. And if you don't know how to do that, you can just go 0.1 times 30 is 3 days. Okay, so that's why I wrote a little 3 here. This one's harder to tell exactly where it lines up with. I know that this really light gray line is 0.05. So I'm going to estimate that at 0.03 or 0.04. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say it's 0.03. So so the height is 0.03. 0.03. And so that would be 0.03 times 30 days. About 0.9. Now, if these don't add up, it's because I maybe didn't estimate it. Maybe I should have said it was 0.4. Let's say if it's 0.4. 0.04 times 30. Well, that gives me 1.2 days. I'm not sure. I can't really tell. Halfway in between the bottom and this very light gray line would be 0.05, I think. 0.05. No, this line is 0.05. Halfway would be 0.025, but it's above 0.025. So I don't know. I like my 0.03. So I'm going to say just go with the 0.9 days. This thing goes up. We have to estimate. So this is 20% right here, or 0.2. This would be 0.25. Somewhere between 0.2 and 0.25 is where this height is. So I don't know what you want to call it. 0.2, 0.23, I guess. 0.23 times 30. So sorry that I can't give you perfect answers. I'm going to say this is about 6.9 because I said I just estimated it as 0.23. These are days. That is 12.9 because I just did an estimate just like I did on these ones that I showed you. So if I add these all up, they should add up to 30 days. So let's start from the beginning. 0.9 plus 3 plus 6.9 plus 12.9 plus 3 point, I can't tell if that's a 9. 9. 29.7 days. So I'm not a good estimator when I look at how far they are, but it says we have to estimate it, so I just did the best I could. Okay, so describe the distribution of tardy students by estimating the height of each bin. So I went through and estimated the height of each bin, and then I'm going to go to the homework help because I wonder if you know how to use homework help. If you go to cpm.org, or if you just type in homework.cpm.org, you can click on our textbook and you can go to the homework help site. So this is 4-76, and see, I've already clicked these hints. I'll unclick them. Okay, so my hint says describe the distribution of tardy students by estimating the height of each bin. Well, we just did, we had to estimate. I didn't like having to estimate, but we just did the best we could. I'm supposed to look at the math notes box on 1.2.3, and that's going to tell me stuff like, look at the symmetry of it. It's going to say, see if it's skewed right or skewed left. I'm going to go ahead and do what it says and look up my math notes box. And I found it right here. Oh, so I found it right here. And here's describing data distribution. So when it says describe it, you're just going to do all these things. You're going to talk about the center and the shape and the spread and the outliers. Okay, so the center I would use on this distribution, I would try to use the median, the middle one. So, and we have to estimate, all this stuff is just all estimating. So where do I think about half the data is? Maybe somewhere in this bar right here. This bar is 12.9 or 12.9. So, but this bar right here is 3, like this is 0 to 1, this is 1 to 2, this is 2 to 3, and this middle bar that I'm looking at is from between 3 and 4 tardies. So I'm just going to say it's about 3-ish tardies. So that's what this says. The typical number of tardy students is the median, which is about 3 students because 50% of the students fall at 3 or below. The shape is single peaked, right? It's not bumpy like those other shapes that I just showed you in the math notes box. The shape is single peaked, it's symmetric, it has no gaps or clusters. The spread, you can use the interquartile range. So maybe the quartiles could be like here and here. And then you can see the spread's pretty small. This is 2 tardies, and that would be like 4. So, well, they're saying that maybe 3. So the interquartile range is just 1 because 3 take away 2 is 1. And there's no outliers. So that's all the answers for letter A. And then letter B says, how many days were 3 or more students tardy? And so it says answers vary because it's really hard to look on the side here and estimate exactly how tall each of these bars is. So if you got something a little bit different than this, it's okay. And if I got something different, it's okay. But how many days were 3 or more students tardy? Well, I would just count up these 3 bars because this, from here to here, this is 3, this one's 4, and this one's 5. So 12.9, I'd go 12.9, and then what's that, 3.9? And 2.1. 9 plus 9 is 18, 19, 8, 18. So I only got 18.9. Oh, I got 18. Okay, so they got 18.9 also. Or you could say about 19 days. So we just added up the 3 bars that were more than 3 days. What percentage of the days were no students tardy? So I don't like the 3%. I've done this problem of several times, and I think you should just go 100%. Oh, we should go 30 take away. Oh wait, that's a percentage though. Um, I'm going to add up all my percents, and then I'm going to subtract from 100. So, darn, I already just did this, and I forgot what the number was. 0.9 plus 3 plus. Okay, so I get 29.7. So maybe that's where their 3%'s coming from. So they got 3% for that one. So that's all I'm going to say. This is a long video.